Hey guys. Well, it's another day, it's another adventure, it's another opportunity to get out and enjoy the beautiful weather. So hopefully you guys are getting the same. There's so much going on in the world right now, and I don't know about you, but I'm getting kind of tired of it. And I don't have cable TV, I don't have regular TV. I basically have a smart TV so I can watch Netflix or some YouTube videos or Amazon movies, whatever the case is. But what that does for me is it allows me to expose myself to the chaos, the hypocrisy, the unknown truths, the bias, all that stuff. I choose when I want to be exposed to that. And I think that is so healthy for us, because otherwise it's just forced on you all the time. And I don't know about you, but I get just fed up with it. The only thing that encourages me is to know there are some people, there are some politicians out there that are fighting for the rights that I believe in. So that makes me feel much better. If it wasn't for people like Ted Cruz and the governor of Florida and some of the things that are happening in Tennessee and Georgia and Arizona, where states are pushing back against some of this BS, and that gives me hope, right? Okay, so anyway, there is a day, time and a day for politics. Today is a day of self-reflection. Now, I'm hopeful that you guys are watching this, or you're scouring YouTube for things that make you stronger and a better person. I think it's so important for us to self-evaluate and look for opportunities to build ourselves up, recognize our past mistakes. What are some of the things that got us to this point in life where maybe we have a big question mark on our forehead, right? Well, I want to dive into a couple things for me. So I try to do a little bit of meditation, maybe 3 to 5 times a week. If I'm feeling really mentally tired, I'll lay down for about 30 minutes, listen to some relaxing music, and let my mind go into a state of peace. And it's so effective. It's one of those things where probably in the past I might kind of laugh at that, like, meditation, that's for people who are kind of wacko, or people who don't have self-control, or I don't know. But there is some truth to it. And the older we get, it seems like the more our minds start to fill up with things we don't always want. And meditation is like cleaning that out. It's like a cleansing opportunity. So on my way to the airport, Travis and I are going to get out and do some flying today. And I brought my chase cam, so I'm really hopeful I can get that hooked up and get kind of a different perspective of flying. But we do have a little bit of work to do. He wants to tie in 2D steering on his wing. So we're going to get that set up and just kind of go from there. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is craziness right here. I have not gotten my hair cut in, geez, like 3, 4 months. It's one of those things. I used to shave my head, and I did this for a couple years, and I really enjoyed not having to worry about styling my hair and getting haircuts. It was just, buzz it down, and there you go. So anyway, I'm going to put my hat on because, man, it just reminds me that I need to get my hair cut. So anyway, I was just watching some of my clips from my flight, and it's so cool. The chase cam is a cool device because just the perspective of somebody behind you, basically. Now, a buddy of mine, Ryan, he had it on maybe 3 feet to his line, so the camera actually hangs back a little bit further. I'm gonna have to do that because you can see that it's kind of cropped the video a little bit. But anyway, we had a pretty awesome flight. I got there, got to the airport. There's a bunch of people there, so I was talking to them for a bit, and then Travis showed up. We got his 2D steering tied in, and we both launched, and we buzzed around till dark. It was pretty awesome. So that airport is a fun spot. That's where I started learning. You know, when I haven't been out there for probably about a year, and just going out there again and seeing some of the places that I experienced for the first time solo, the nerves, the hesitancy and all that existed back then, where I fast forward a year from now, and it's just crazy, the progression of this sport. As long as you commit to it. I've got probably 75 or 80 hours on my machine, so I've definitely got some decent flight time in. So let's pick up where we left off. And this is one of those topics that I'm hoping the people watching this can relate to. Or maybe you know somebody like this. Or maybe it can just help you in a lot of different ways. The main thing is, my hope is that YouTube, or as you seek out information out there, you're looking for things that can bring positivity into your life. Positive changes, things that will make you a better person, things that will make you think about the old you or the prior you and how you want to be better than that. Because there's so much garbage out there. Seriously, on YouTube. I subscribe to probably 24 channels, and they're about camping, they're about Jeep trails, they're about motivational speakers. I listen to some of these, I don't want to say woman haters, but it's kind of giving the perspective of how relationships are now and how women can be a little bit more needy or entitled. And I do listen to some of that just to stay on top of things and kind of get a different perspective. We've talked about that in a prior video. So anyway, to kind of continue on from where I started earlier, when I was growing up, I was a type of person that I felt uncomfortable when other people felt uncomfortable. And there's still a little bit of that in me today. But so I would go over and beyond to try to make sure people were comfortable, or definitely not uncomfortable. And there's something positive about that, because it means you care about other people. It means you don't put yourself in a position where you are the bully or the aggressor. And it's interesting because I just got done talking. I did a FaceTime thing with a buddy of mine from high school. He was a few grades younger, and we had friends, and we kind of went on trips and things like that. Him and I were never directly friends. I don't think him and I have ever had a real long conversation. It's just the two of us. But we spent like 90 minutes on a video call. He's over in Finland right now. And he was telling me about, as we were growing up, that he always looked up to me. That he looked at me as somebody who just made good decisions, and in some ways he wanted to emulate. Well, that was huge to hear that from somebody, because I never thought that about myself. I knew I was kind to people and tried to be the example, I guess. So anyway, as I've gotten older, I've become a little bit more self-focused, and not selfish, but self-focused. Because what I've learned over time is we give so much to other people. And I don't know if my mom demonstrated this growing up. My dad wasn't around much, but my mom was. And I don't know if she demonstrated this or instilled some of these ideas in my head. But we all know or have heard the saying that treat people how you want to be treated, basically. So I've gone through most of my life treating people in a way that I would want to be treated. So I've always been a good listener because I know what it's like to try to explain something to somebody and not have them listen, not have them hear what I say. I can tell that they're mentally distracted. They're somewhere else. Something else is going on up there. So I don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable. I don't want them to feel like I'm not listening. So what do? I go over and beyond to make sure I am. I'm engaged with them. I make good eye contact. I ask questions to make them feel valued. Unfortunately, there is a flip side to that. And what tends to happen, from my experience, is because you're a good listener, people will dump on you. And the fact that it's not being reciprocated can be a little bit frustrating because I am a good listener because I want people to be a good listener to me. It's not that I truly care about some of the things that I'm hearing, because sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes I've got friends who will babble on and on and on, and I already know what they're getting at, but they will just keep going on and on and on. But I don't want to cut them off, and I don't want to be rude, because if I had something I wanted to share, I would want to feel comfortable that I could go on and on and on, get it all out, and somebody would listen. So as I'm growing up with this philosophy in my head of be the person you want other people to be, what I've come to realize is that it doesn't matter if you're being the person you want other people to be. That doesn't mean they're going to be that. And over time, you start to become a little bit more self-focused, because why am I giving all of my time and attention? Why am I trying to make other people feel comfortable in hopes that they will do the same for me when I'm in that situation? And then that just never happens. So I don't know if society is pushing people in the wrong direction. And maybe it's different in other areas. It doesn't seem like it from the research that I do. But the reality is we are all so self-absorbed. We're so self-absorbed that it's difficult for us to even engage with another person and allow them to feel safe, to be vulnerable and feel safe in a conversation. So anyway, there are close friends of mine, and I will listen to them and listen to them and listen to them, and I will advise them, and I will participate in the conversation because I care about them. But other people, let's use an example. There was this old man who came up to me I was out hiking one time, and he came up and asked me a question on the trail, and I told him, oh yeah, this trail goes over here. And then he got into another story, and then another story, and then another story. And about 20 minutes in, he wasn't halfway through any of those stories. I felt like this could go on and on and on. Now, the old Adam would have said, all right, just kind of suck it up. Let this guy talk. Okay, stay engaged. Be that good listener for him. The new Adam, new and improved, 2.0, 3.0, 10.0, I don't know what version I'm on. The new Adam was polite, but kind of cut the guy off and said, hey, don't mean to cut you off. I'm on a time frame here. I got to pick my kids up from school. Okay? So that's the version I've changed to, because I feel like, honestly, if I was out hiking and I ran across somebody and I asked them about a trail and then they said, oh, over here, and I just kept talking about myself, I cannot even imagine there's anybody out there who would soak that in, who would actually be a good listener, who would take the time to engage with me that way. First of all, I would recognize their uncomfortableness in the conversation, and I wouldn't do that. Seems like not a lot of people do recognize that. So anyway, part of being a Sigma male. A Sigma male is a classification of male that's outside of the, there's 2 or 3 categories, the alpha male and the beta male, and now there's the Sigma male. Anyway, the whole idea of that classification is this person marches to the beat of their own drum. They're typically self-employed. They love being alone. They really enjoy their time alone because they don't like the energy vampires. Okay, we talked about this before. Part of being a Sigma male is just self-evaluation. I'm constantly reviewing myself to try to be a better version. So when I think about my past and me being a certain way to try to eliminate people's discomfort and try to be that good listener and try to be the example I hope other people would be for me, I've recognized that that hasn't really come into fruition, meaning I haven't really seen the benefits of behaving like that, so why did I do it? So as I get older, now it's this blend where I want to be polite and I want to be respectful to people, but I also want it to be reciprocated. And if I'm in a conversation with someone that does not seem to be a conversation, meaning it's going back and forth, I'm asking them questions, they're asking me questions, or we both get an opportunity to explain our position, then I don't engage in that. I've got a good buddy of mine, Ryan. Him and I went to the training together for Paramotor. And we'll talk for an hour on the phone, and it's a true conversation. It's back and forth. We're both listening to what each other are saying. We're both engaged in the conversation, and we're both participating. And that's how it should be. So when you meet people like that, you want to maintain those relationships because it seems to be few and far between. Now, of course, it helps to have common interests and common ideas, things like that, that helps the conversation go. But literally, for some people, it really doesn't matter what your opinion or perception is on something. They aren't interested in listening to it at all. So anyway, as we start progressing with age, we just want to become stronger. We want to become more not self-centered. I don't like that word. We want to be more self-focused. Okay? Focus on what you need. Focus on the value of your time. And focus on being the example, but don't put yourself in a situation where you are like getting walked over all the time, hoping that somebody will let you walk on them, which you wouldn't do because you're a good person anyway. Anyway, we all probably know some of those people like that. And if you're identifying with this as maybe you could be that way sometimes, start asking people questions. Engage in other people's lives. Conversation is what it's all about. That's what keeps us human. That's what helps us learn things about other people, learn about opinions, new perspectives, maybe open the door to a new idea, right? Wouldn't that be nice? A final note before I get going here. I had a Facebook friend. That's actually a good friend of mine. I went to high school with his wife. This was back during the election process, and she was a big supporter of the left, and she made some comment on Facebook about some of the things that were happening on the left side and how she was such in support of that. And I commented on there, very respectful. I said, hey, some of that stuff is legit, but I question a few other areas because from what I've seen or what I read, it's being amplified. It's made to look good for the left and hurt the right in the process. And she wrote back, this is on Facebook, social media, and she said, this isn't the platform to have discussions like this. And I'm like, social media is not the platform to have discussions like that. So it wasn't worth going into. It wasn't worth the fight. When you deal with people like that who aren't looking for a discussion, they've already got their mind set, then it's best to just move on from that. Okay? You can't waste your time trying to convince people otherwise. So those are the people in my world that the old Adam would have been like, well, I don't want them to be uncomfortable. I'm not going to say the wrong thing. I don't want to offend somebody. The new Adam says, if you don't even want to engage with me on Facebook over a pretty important topic, and I promise you, you do not know everything, and I promise you, I don't know everything, but this is a platform where we can have a discussion. The new Adam says, we're no longer friends. All right? Because if that's what the relationship is, then why am I even friends with this person? So, not to get too much into Facebook, I reduced my friends down to like 80 people. 70 of them are probably family or people I went to high school with. And I don't know what the other 10 are. Coworkers, things like that. So, as you get older, you become more selective. All right, guys, I am wiped out. It has been a long day, but an awesome day. Hopefully you guys had an awesome day too. I will catch up to you very soon. See you guys.